like fucking deployments and combat boots and
Oh,
fucking years of shit. Like, yeah, I was like, I feel bad for the fucking people that had to clean up my fucking feet.
and then
Holy
they gotta
shit.
smell it.
Yeah,
Oh,
I give them nice tips there to go and take
Yeah.
a fucking cheese girl. They just went at it.
I
Like,
mean, I take better care of my feet now, but like shit. You
yeah.
think younger Pluffy Phil was gonna fucking, like no. It was like 12-mile ruck marches in 3 hours and shit. Like fuck. No, my feet were brutalized in my younger years, man.
dude, my
Like,
fucking feet, man. That there's so much cheese on that shit. The fucking, Chuck E. Cheese would have a fucking ball with that, dude. I got like 12 cheese pizzas and pepperoni and other shit in there with all the fucking scabs and stuff.
Good thing he's out of business now.
Dude, yeah, that's probably how they make their fucking pizza. Like aside from like,
Oh
making these
god.
zombie like mix match pizzas, they're just gonna use the fucking toe cheese.
Not to go on a tangent, but just the thought made me think of something. I'm surprised the Pizzagate people, to my knowledge, never went down the rabbit hole of children, Chuck E. Cheese, pizza. Wait, what? What do we got going on here?
Oh
Dude,
god,
fucking
Sean.
Chuck E. Cheese, there's other shit too. Like it's a fucking kid it's basically the fucking casino for kids. It's a mouse casino.
yeah.
Yes.
Kids.
And then EA won up them with loot boxes for kids.
I don't know, but like Chuck E. Cheese, they were the OG with that. Like like I don't even remember being there too much, but I remember being there a few times. It's like it's
Yeah,
fucking gambling.
it is.
And it's okay if you do it for like bullshit prizes, but heaven forbid you do it on like there's a lot of stuff like that too, like fucking those trading card games, like that's that's OG loot boxes too, because what do you get?
Yeah, it pretty much is a literal loot box.
Like it's worse, you get like your fucking Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh cards. It's like, which one am I gonna get today? Am I gonna get like some bullshit like Charmander? Am I gonna get like fucking I don't know, fucking Charizard with the golden thing on the back that's worth like 20 grand now?
And it was kind of pay to win because you couldn't play Pokemon without the cards, so you had to buy them unless you stole them from your brother or found them in the sewer or something. I don't know.
Oh no, train card games were entirely pay to win. That's the whole point. People like, why are people okay with that? But and I'm not saying it's okay for games, dude. I fucking hate when games do, but like,
No, abolish loot boxes. They should be banned. If I were running for president, I'd run on banning loot boxes.
fuck that, ban trading card games because they're just as bad and they're for kids. They're aimed directly at kids, a form of gambling.
Yes.
Like I was playing fucking RuneScape, and they're like, "Oh, the dual arena is just gambling for kids." I'm like, so is
Based.
Pokemon. People go and get their fucking Pokemon cards, and then you go and buy them. Like, oh, what am I gonna get? And it's like the fucking skins in what you call it, Counter Strike. It's the same fucking thing. You try to go and collect the cards, but it's wrong if it's virtual, but they're both like it's a piece of paper or a bunch of fucking ones and zeros. Like it's both.
You know what's funny too is the loot boxes will use literal cards most of the time. Like when they come out of the box, it's a literal cards on the screen.
Yeah, because it's the original loot box. Then even before then, you had your stupid like pinball machines. Like not my my grandfather. He was telling me he was, back in the day, he was really bad, like an addict with those pinball machines and arcades back in the day. So I'm like, yeah, because it's fucking gambling.
I wouldn't call that gambling because that's pay to play, not pay to win.
It's still addictive though. It's like a slot machine. You get all those like little shiny bits.
Yeah, but the thing is, you're not playing a game of chance. Like there is skill involved with you hitting the little things, to hit the ball. I mean, it does have some elements. I see what you mean, but for loot box, it's different because I mean, they can engineer those things to be more addicting than any video game, like the actual game, like or even any card game or anything,
I don't
because
know,
of
man.
the
I
way they design it with all the dopamine hitting visuals and the mystery element, and you get stuff that makes you win half the time.
Well, yeah, but that's what the fuck are you like those Yu-Gi-Oh cards and like Magic the Gathering. Like I knew this, like my friend, fucking Dylan, and like they know this one motherfucker.
Hey guys, real quick, I am going to go grab a beer real quick. I'm
Alright.
not doing I'm not doing what you think I'm doing, Kevin. So
Oh, what's Kevin thinks he in the chat?
yeah, well, my old stream crashed, so I had to start a new one. But
Well, I have to review a message that Kevin is going to send that says the asshole looking king show. Hot.
Mm.
I'll end our stream soon, but continue your rant on
No,
cars.
I know this one motherfucker, and like my friend Dylan did too. He used to live in the middle of a hallway, and he'd spend all this money on weed and Magic the Gathering cards, and
Oh
like
god,
he's
this
an
is why he's
adult.
in the hallway.
And he that's what he would do. He like jack off in the kitchen because he had nowhere else to go. People live like addicted to those fucking cards, like adults even.
Yeah.
It
You
hits
know, I
different.
knew people in elementary school that had binders full of them. And I would be like, I never got into it. Like, I got like 1 or 2 packs because I initially thought it was cool. And then when I got them, I was just like, whatever. It's like nobody to play it with. And then, like, I didn't know how to play. I never got into
I
that.
never
I'm
knew how
glad
to
I
fucking
didn't.
play the game. I like collecting those cards because they look cool. Like that's what the fuck I
Well,
was.
that's the draw. Yeah. And that's how I initially, like, got whatever first ones I did. Do you remember Crazy Bones? I think they were called.
Crazy Bones. What the fuck is this?
I forget exactly what they're called, but something like that. They were like these little plastic things. I think it was Crazy Bones, yeah. And the game
Was it
was you like set them up. What?
was it Mighty Beans?
No, this was. I think it was Crazy Bones. I'm gonna Google it. You would set them up like on a floor or table, and then you take your finger and do like a flicking motion with your thumb and your first finger, and you like flick them and hit them. So they would try. You try to hit your friends, Crazy Bones, and knock them over. And if you hit them, eventually like you'd win if you knocked them all down. And like there were different shapes, and some of them you could put in different like ways you could hit them. Like some could lay down, some had to stand up. I remember collecting those because like that was such a huge thing in my elementary school. Everybody play them at lunch and do all kinds of shit. And I got a few from like a friend who would buy them, and then it was like a drug deal. I'd like buy them off of her. I'd be like, "Oh, you got some Crazy Bones," and buy like a pack. And I got like a couple packs, and I was like, "Oh, this is kind of cool," and it died off.
We had the fucking Beyblades, man. I remember
I
that shit.
remember
It was
those too.
basically major league like dreidel competitions. Wonder who's behind that one, but like it
Ben
was so fucking
Shapiro probably has them as a sponsor.
like it was so fucking stupid. Just spun tops, but like it was like that trading card game thing. It's like, oh, we need to be competitive. It's like Pokemon Battle with a fucking top, and they put like metal bits on some of them. It was so fucking stupid, but like they attract kids, and the thing is too. They don't have a television show. Like they had that fucking anime television show with the Beyblade people, and then they sell the fucking
Fucking
Beyblades
anime.
on there. It's like
Yeah,
that,
that's how they get you.
that's fucked up. Like with YouTube, you're not supposed to do that sort of stuff. Like you're not supposed to advertise your shit to kids. Like I think Logan Paul got some shit for that, but the fucking television did that shit. And it used to be illegal.
Yeah, I think that was something. Yeah, I think Reagan changed that if I'm not mistaken.
Fucking libertarian bullshit. But like that, like that to me, that seems unethical. Like when you have your Pokemon show and then you sell your fucking Pokemon cards and fucking Pokemon games like that. Like you shouldn't be able to go and sell it during the fucking show. And Beyblades is bad with that. Yu-Gi-Oh was really bad with that. So just selling you off of this like fucking scam card game, like gambling addiction. And nobody
Yeah.
mentions that whenever they mention the loot box problem, and I feel like that's not fair because that is just as damaging, if not more so, than these loot boxes. And it's just going on. Like I wonder how much money is spent on these bullshit card
Well, the
games.
difference with the loot boxes, though, and I know the like phones have, prevented some of this in certain ways, but parents give their and this has happened. Like I think Alex Jones it happened to, or somebody famous happened to. It's kind of funny, but they give their kid their phone and start playing a game. It's like you got to pay 99 cents to unlock this, and the kid goes click and it does it. I mean, my phone, you have to have, a lot of iPhones, you have to use a thumbprint or a face to unlock, pay for something. But some of these parents would just let kids pay for shit. And that was the problem with those things was it was much easier for kids to buy stuff. It was way more accessible. I mean, with the trading cards, yeah, I do agree with you. Like, it is relevant to that conversation, but you would have to go to a store to pick them up or get them off a friend, which requires a parent
Or
either
you
way.
steal the fucking
So
money from like your parents' like wallet when they're not looking and just buy.
you could, but it's way easier to just go on the phone, boom, do it.
Well, some of that too is these boomer parents like not knowing how to like set up
Exactly.
their shit.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, to be fair, I got busted for that. Well, it's like my parents like put their credit card on the fucking Xbox.
Oh no.
I got busted for like buying the horse armor pack from like Oblivion or whatever. I was like, oh shit.
That's funny. I posted the Crazy Bones thing in Chad's chat. Yeah, it was Crazy Bones. I remember that shit really well.
Did we not? I never had that shit. Like that was never popular. Like
It
we
was
had my
insane in my
had
school.
Beyblades, Pokemon cards, Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
There's something too I learned in my ad class, but I forget what the specifics are. But there are some ways that you can't advertise to kids. But like they obviously get around it somehow. There's some weird rules with that. I'd have to look into it, but it's kind of interesting. There's certain things you can't do.
Yeah, but like I don't know, man. It just felt so fucked up because like
Oh, it is.
all these kids shows have like shit you can buy from it. You know,
Yeah.
like I don't like that. Like they all have their own marketing thing. Like even if they don't advertise Beyblades, like the products on the show, like the next show, like might be like Pokemon afterwards, then they give a Beyblade commercial if you're gonna watch the same fucking Saturday morning block. You're gonna see that shit, and like it's not very hard to go and see, Beyblades is the shit when it's on your Cartoon Network or whatever the fuck it is.
Mm-hmm.
And like yeah, think about that too. It's like pretty much every kids cartoon show has like at least like back when I was a kid, they all had like these fucking like stuff you could buy from it. Like they all had some sort of merchandise. Like they didn't just have kids shows that were just kids shows. Like maybe now they do, maybe it changed. But when I was a kid, like they did fucking Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, all this other stuff, and they were all like heavily like advertised either for their like action figures like GI Joe and stuff, or their card games, or their Beyblades, or what have you. They were all had shit that you could go and spend tons of money on too. And then the other thing, I forget what it was, but there was these like robots. I don't know if it was battle bots, but there was something. My aunt gave me this toy for Christmas, and you had to go and have like multiple of these things to go and like actually fight each other. And the one robot was like $100, but then you need like the other one. So I put like my parents in a bind where like I couldn't even play them unless I had the other one. So it's like, they find ways to fuck you over with that.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, and it's also consider how advertising at that age is rewiring these kids' brains. Like from a young age, it's basically turning them into gamblers. It's getting them addicted to things. I would be really interested. I don't know how you'd study this, but to see like if there was a kid that wasn't exposed to any advertising, a kid that was, and how that changed them.
Oh
You
yeah,
know.
no, it's terrible. And then they even have these games. So like I was at Walmart, there's this thing called Kapong that's basically
Kapong.
beer pong for kids.
Oh, I've seen that. Yep.
Like how is that okay? Like they have all these things which, kids really shouldn't be being exposed to. Like, and the only thing that people even mention is like the loot boxes, which thankfully now have largely gone away from most games. Like,
Yeah, even the new Halo game, they literally explicitly said we're not doing loot boxes. Halo Infinite, because there is such an
All right, guys, I'm
animosity
back.
towards that. Oh, Sam's
anything
alive.
bitching about. We're talking about Halo now with
Loot
lack of
boxes.
loot
Or without
boxes.
them now, because it was like that. People would bitch about. I remember people bitching about, but when Battlefront 2 came out, that was the breaking point. There were literally congressional hearings over loot boxes. That's how bad it got. I think people forget just how bad that was.
Well, dude, they had that one. Like, they say that that game was terrible, but the worst one was that like Lord of the Rings game. It was a single player only game that still had loot boxes in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, why? And like back in the day too, like they had DLC back then. That was annoying, but like at least you got content. Like with loot boxes, it was just like microtransactions. Like that's the worst thing. Like that's what I
And you
hate
didn't know
about
what you were
this,
getting from it.
and that's what I hate about smartphone games. So it's like why I don't really play any smartphone games is because they're all riddled with microtransactions.
Yeah.
Like you remember back in the day when you had like games like Angry Birds and like Plants vs
hmm
Zombies, like the original ones that didn't have
And you had to pay
microtransactions.
for them, but now you don't have to pay for them. But once you get the app, you have to pay for all the microtransactions.
Yeah,
Yeah, and like
and that's what I always warn people. Like the free games are not really free.
Yep. They're either harvesting your data, or I don't want to say harvesting, they're stealing your data, or they're microtransactions filled through the whole thing.
I
And
mean,
in most cases, it doesn't bother me too much if it's like they're not stealing your data with their microtransactions, because in some games, like Plants vs. Zombies 2, I remember, I was able to do the full thing without a single microtransaction, but they would always prod you like, oh, you can skip ahead a few levels if you pay us like 5 shekels. And I'm like, no, sorry, I'll just play the game. Radical concept.
well, I just rather play the fucking game. Like there are some of them that make it so like I think there was a Family Guy game or one of those stupid ones. It was like
Like
Farmville.
the
Like they have so many.
sim
Yeah,
game.
they have all those games are the same stuff. It's like,
Yeah.
oh look, there's this franchise that you have.
Yeah.
Here you can go and like you spend, you can go and do all this stuff, but like you have to go and wait, or you pay us whatever microcurrency they have in here, and we can just skip that. And it starts out where you
Yeah.
can do all this stuff at once and becomes gradually longer and longer and more grindy to even get anything basic done. Like I think I remember seeing an article there, they had some sort of like My Little Pony game. It was the same sort
Oh
of concept,
no.
but it would take you like 1,000 years if you didn't pay for microtransactions to actually complete it. And like as funny as it is gonna
Yeah.
fuck with the brony community, like that's pretty fucked up. Like I think stuff like that should be discouraged, if not banned.
Yeah. No, I was actually watching a video recently by again the Ackman guy on the history of loot boxes, because I mean I remember the Battlefront 2 thing very well, because I think I was telling you about Alex when it was
Dude, I had
happening.
that when it was
And
happening. I fucking hated that.
yeah, I know, but I was telling you about the anger that was coming out about the loot boxes and that Reddit post from EA that like set off a firestorm. I remember telling you about that. I don't know if you like already knew about it, but like I remember talking about it was my point I was trying to make. But because yeah, you did play the beta and get the full thing, but I didn't know too much about the stuff that came before. Like I'd heard about season passes, I'd heard about paying for Xbox Live. I've known microtransactions very well, but he was going over the full history of like pretty much money in games and going to what we have now. And it seems like what things are going towards is what Fortnite has is this battle pass or something it's called. I don't know
yeah,
too much about
yeah,
it. I have to
Battle
look into
Pass.
it.
COD, COD,
Yeah,
COD, Call of Duty Mobile, which I play, actually has like a
has
similar
that
thing.
too. Yeah.
Call,
Well, how does it work?
well, basically, like it's not that bad actually on Call of Duty Mobile, but basically what it is like they they do like a theme like every like 2 or 3 months or so.
Yeah, yeah.
And
It's like with Fortnite doing Mandalorian right now.
what they'll do is they'll give you like an exclusive like weapon, and then you can get like an exclusive like set of perks for like $10, and that's like the season pass.
Okay.
Pretty tough
Yeah.
mobile one. Like I know Modern Warfare on the PC. You don't have to pay for anything. You can if you want to like unlock the weapons like faster or easier, but like you can still get everything that's not cosmetic like normal.
Yeah. That's what I've heard that's happened to a lot of things, especially in reaction to those loot boxes. But he was listing all the games that had them at the time. It's like every fucking game, every major game had them in some way. And like just listening to all of it and seeing what had been happening to video games, it's honestly, it's really sad because it started off, for a while, it was something that was like artistic and interesting and innovative. And then people will kind of mock video games like, oh, it's just a waste of time. They're not art. They're just a waste of time, blah, blah, blah. And then now it's like it's gotten to a point where there's still the artisticness there, but it's like in a cloud of greed and just slimy, disgusting, corporate crap that it's just really gross, honestly. You don't could you imagine that was in a movie? Like, oh, you have to pay $5 to see the last episode, or not last episode, the last 30 minutes of this movie. I mean, yeah, you have to pay for episodes and stuff on like iTunes, but it's just on another level with these games. It's just really gross. Just having it there is just gross. Knowing that there's like this shit there, it's annoying as hell.
See that
I miss those games where just none of that. Like when I play like Battlefront 2, the original, there's not a dollar sign in that game. It's just
the
straight up the
original
game.
came out, they did expand. I know there was at least one expansion pass or expansion that came out for it for the Xbox Live version, like for the Xbox original. But and that one might have actually been free after a while. Like they used to do that on Xbox, like in Halo 2. They had a map pack that came out. Like if you waited like a few months, they give it to you for free. Or
Yeah.
and then they used to have games, and you would just get the game, and you didn't have
And
to
it
go
would
buy
work.
the
It
expansion.
would work.
And now it's like not only are you paying like $60 for a game, but you also have to go and pay for either expansions or like DLC. And like that's the thing too. Like back in the day, like when Halo 2 had an expansion pack, and like they actually released it as a separate disc, and like
Oh,
your $40, but you actually got a lot of content for it. And then fucking Oblivion, they had both the best and the worst, because like the worst was fucking horse armor pack that did nothing, but it was cosmetic. But the
is that the
best one
thing
they
you spent money on?
yeah, I bought all the expansions. I got it for PC with the Game of the Year edition, and it had like this one expansion in there. It was like the Shivering Isles, and that was probably one of the best expansions. Like it was a full-on other story, a huge new area. Like
Yeah.
and then it went from that to these more microtransactions and stuff. Just like, and that happened once the internet became more ubiquitous and higher speed. When you could download shit off the internet a lot quicker. You used to be able to go and like you would not be able to go and buy an expansion pack unless you got it from the fucking store, or if you were like really great and really great internet. But now once the internet became fast enough, you could download DLC that was like, maybe it's just a couple of maps. And that became maybe just one map, maybe it's just a weapon. And it becomes like smaller and smaller, and the price goes down, but then you have to go and buy more of it, or you
Yeah.
buy the fucking season pass, which is the price of a whole nother game.
Well,
Like
that's the thing. Gaming really changed once it got hooked up to the internet. Once the Xbox got on the internet, once the PlayStation got on the internet, that's when all this shit changed. Oh, we don't have to ship a full game. We can fix it post launch. Day one DLC, day one patch, day six patch,
Yeah,
It,
but yeah, but at the
it's
same
lazy.
time, they kind of fucked themselves up because like I remember like DLC was like I remember back in the day when DLC was like you had a complete game, but DLC was like you got all this extra cool shit that
yeah, yeah,
like you didn't need but was cool to have. So like that's why people would
yeah,
have DLC, and like people are okay with that. And now it's like DLC is required to have almost. And so now people don't, it's like why did they fuck themselves over? Like like that's ultimately a case of, don't break a don't break don't break a good thing, or if it's not broke, don't
yeah.
fix it.
Well, see, that's the problem with DLC though, and I did notice that. Like, let's say you're playing Call of Duty, and they had a new map pack that came out. If you don't have that map pack, like you're splitting up. Like, if you have map packs, you split up the community based on
Yeah.
who has who does, and that's a problem.
That's why I am actually really interested. And initially I really like what Halo's going to do with Infinite, which is that it's kind of going to become, bear with me on the analogy, Fortnite. Because while Fortnite is what it is, the one thing that Halo is kind of doing, like they're or going to do, is they're going to make it like a service, in the sense that, like, hey, you pay your $60, you have the Halo game with the base campaign and base multiplayer. But the good thing is this is gonna be the Halo for the next 10 years. So when we get new maps for multiplayer, when we get new campaigns, instead of having to buy another game, you just download it. I hope for free. Sounds like it's gonna be free. And it's kind of getting like a new season of a TV show. It's like you're not like you said, like you're like that's the problem with Call of Duty. Every year it's a new freaking Call of Duty with a new multiplayer, new campaign, new game, new disc, new everything. You literally are splitting people up over like 4 or 5 games. Your friend has this one, but you don't. I personally think the Halo new formula is going to be really successful if they do it right. I think initially they're going to probably have some issues and it's going to be like patch after patch, but I think long term it's going to be a really smart way to go. And it sounds like Modern Warfare kind of is doing this already, but I don't, there's been talks of a Modern Warfare 2, but if they
Well,
do
they
it
already
like how
have a
Halo's going to do, I think it'd be smart.
they already have a Modern Warfare 2, but it's a
Well,
different game.
not the old one. I'm talking about like a new.
They re-released the
Yeah,
remastered
I know, but they
version.
didn't make like a reboot version like this one is, the one you have.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm just concerned because like that's the other thing I kind of missed too is like back in Halo 3, you played on the original Xbox 360. Like, if you want to go and customize your character, you can, but like you had to fucking earn it. Now it's just like, oh, you have that season pass, and that's how
Yeah.
you customize your character. And like, I mean, it's a small thing, but like I used to, I got that fucking recon in that game, and that was like the Vidmaster challenges, and that was a pain in the ass. That was actually really difficult. Only like X amount of people actually got it, but I fucking did. I did all those fucking things, like, and it was difficult. And I got my helmet that showed that I was one of the few people that actually could play that game that well. And now it's like, oh, we're not going to do that. Instead, we're going to go and like maybe have a handful of like shitty customization options. If you want anything cool, you have to go and spend real money. Like they did that in Halo 4 with the fucking unicorn armor. Yeah, like that was the only one that like looked like significantly different. But it was like either pre-order. It was a fucking pre-order bonus too, and that's a
Right.
whole other shit that I hated. That I'm glad is gone. This fucking pre-order
Yeah,
bonuses.
I remember when that was a thing. Because like I remember like I think it was 76. They had a big controversy with that because I don't think people were getting what they wanted or something.
That fucking game was a controversy. Like
Yeah.
for the most
It's
part.
still broken, dude. It's still broken. That's the funniest thing. People give Cyberpunk shit. Dude, that game is in such a way better state than some of the footage you see on the internet of Fallout 76. And in current state, that game is still broken.
Well, yeah, like I just beat fucking that fucking cyberpunk game. Like there's like if you have for the consoles, I understand like that's bullshit
Yeah.
to release that. But if you have for the PC, like there are some annoying bits of glitches, and we've showcased a few of them. But it's not nearly as bad as like what a lot of people are saying, like where it's unplayable. Like no, you can beat it and you can have a fulfilling experience, but like people I think were overreacting to it because it wasn't this like thing that they thought out to be. Because and
Yeah.
sure, some of it was CD Project Red. They were saying it's going to be this like, oh, you can do this and that, and you can customize your dick size, which you can do in this game. But like they thought it was a lot bigger than it was supposed to be. And in some respects, that's true. But like it was still a
Well, and I
fine game
think
for what it
too,
was. I had a lot
like
of fun playing.
I think CG Project Red was like, they were talking about the game it was going to be, and that's just not the game we got. Like, I think, like, look, somebody on Reddit found a freaking railway system that's supposed to be there, but it got cut. That's what I think ultimately happens. I think they were promising stuff that they actually planned to do. It's just they didn't have the time, and they shipped it anyway when they should have just waited a year. But
I think they want to get in 2020 because that was like Cyberpunk 2020, and they're
yeah.
they're dead set on that. And they already delayed it once, and they
They
got all
delayed it twice. I think maybe even 3 times.
yeah. And they honestly probably should have been delayed another year, and they would have.
Yeah, they overshot that initial release date, like, oh my god. You wouldn't believe, or undershot it, I guess you could say. But
Yeah, no, but like it was
like,
it was
it was
solid.
supposed to be released.
I enjoyed that game. Like I seriously did enjoy that game. Like it was
It
fun. The
looks
story
awesome.
the story was awesome. I enjoyed the story. You know, like in the stuff you can do, you can get your fucking cyber implants, you can like do your hacking shit. Like it's, you know, I'm sure you can do some, like you can do a lot of the same things you can do in this game and other games, but you can't really do all of them in one game like this.
Yeah, which creates a whole new experience right there, having it all in one.
Yeah, and I think it's, you know, like they're doing pretty bad right now, but like, you know, it's not like compare it to a Bethesda ZeniMax game. You know, like people were like, "Oh, you know, this is so terrible." But like, look at fucking Oblivion. Look at Fallout. Like, not even 76. Like, yeah, definitely look at that one. Look at some of their even their successful ones, like New Vegas. Like, there's so many fucking glitches. I'd have 7 saves at any given time for pretty much any Bethesda game since Oblivion, because I know if I didn't have 7 saves, there's a chance there could be some sort of glitch that I would either not be able to complete quests or my entire save would be fucked. And I've had it happen multiple times, and like I lost hours of gameplay. Like
Yeah.
Oblivion, like there was one glitch with my one save where like I had a you know, I used like a summoned sword, and as soon as the summoned sword ended, my game would like the game would crash.
Well, apparently in 76 too, there was a I don't know if you heard about this. There was a room players found that you couldn't go into, but through a glitch they got in there, and it was basically like a dev, you know, throwaway like sandbox room of like what it was gonna be, and so they had like pieces laying around, like stuff that was fully rendered and stuff that wasn't, stuff that it was just like almost like a closet of like crap. I mean, the stuff in that game is unparalleled to what people are even the worst things people are saying about Cyberpunk. And I get these like clickbaity videos on YouTube every time. It's like Cyberpunk is worse than you think. The bugs are only the start. There's more problems here than just the bugs. They can't fix this game. I'm like, what are you people talking about? I think there's some people that just want to hate it, and there are people that bank on the hate.
Well, and then I will admit, let's be honest, a big part of the marketing, well, let's be more honest. The entire marketing was centered around the fact that Keanu, praise be, was going to be in this game. So,
Well, he is.
yeah, but I
Yeah, and
mean,
he is awesome.
but I mean that was their entire marketing shtick
I
from
mean, he
what?
did play a very significant part in the game. Like,
Oh
actually,
yeah, I know he does, and I haven't even played it. So
Well, that's what I like from what I've seen is that, like some games like Call of Duty had Kevin Spacey in it. I remember, I hadn't seen that full one,
yeah,
but
yeah.
um, what was that?
Yeah, that's hindsight's 2020, but man, they fucked up with that.
Yeah, I know. With that one though, like from what I understand, I don't think Spacey had that big of a role in the game, but obviously not as big as Keanu, because Keanu sounds like he's, and I don't want to spoil because I kind of know what goes on, but I kind of don't, so I don't want to spoil it anyway. But it sounds like he's kind of a part of you in the game at all
yeah,
times, most of the time, and
Central part of the game.
yeah, it's like it's not just a marketing tool, it's actually like he's actually there. You know, it's not just like a throw in cameo that, you know, he only had to show up for once, you know, like one day of shooting.
Yeah, no, and like honest to God, like if heaven forbid I hope they fucking recover from this because I would love to see another Cyberpunk game, like sequel, prequel, whatever the fuck, you know,
I don't
with
know if
just
they'd make a sequel, honestly.
well,
Maybe in a long
I
time,
hope
but like
a prequel featuring Keanu. Yeah,
yes.
you know
well,
that guy's role.
this made me think of a game of like another game that had significant bugs when it came out initially, but do you guys remember way back in the day when Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic was a thing?
Yes. I remember seeing it on game shelves
Night, yeah, well,
or store shelves.
Knights of the Old Republic 2, the Lords was a game that was basically released like unfinished, and we're talking like this was before DLC even existed. Hell, this was before multiplayer even existed.
Well, what was
So,
wrong with it?
well, I mean, it was done, but they basically had to rush it out in time because LucasArts basically told, or no, Lucasfilm told LucasArts that they basically wanted the game done by the time of Revenge of the Sith, even
Oh
though
yeah.
the two stories have nothing to do with each other, but people thought, I guess they thought because of the marketing and all that stuff. So there was a lot of stuff that they had to cut out. There was a lot of stuff that they had to cut out of KOTOR 2, for time purposes. But then just 5 years ago, a group of mods decided to get together and kind of reform all the stuff that got scrapped. So there was something called the restored content mod that basically completes the game as it was intended.
That's awesome. I like when people do that. Like I've been playing Battlefront 2 and original, and there's a lot of mods for that thing. And even that game, like I have the Steam version that's like version 1.1. Like there's some I don't even know what the point 1 has changed, but there's still the glitches that I remember from playing on the PS2, like when you were on Mustafar, and if you die and you fall to the lava, half of the time you would fall through the map. You go past the lava and keep going, and it wouldn't know what to do for a few seconds, then it would say you died. I had that happen even on the version I played for the past, I think I played the game like 12, 15 hours so far, and you still get that. People forget that your favorite games were full of glitches and bugs. Maybe not as much. I get it.
You want to
But
talk about that shit too? Like, look at the games made from the Super Nintendo times. Like, I played that. I was playing some of that shit with my brother. Probably 6 months ago. Like, half the games that came out back then were complete shit and unfinished.
people
You'll forget.
forget how bad some of these games were technically. Like that in that department.
People don't realize oh, you have your good games like Super Mario Brothers or Super Mario Adventure and Link to the Past, but you had a lot of shit too. Like,
Mm-hmm.
thank God, there's emulators these days, so you don't have to go and spend money on it, unless you probably should be buying that shit. But they were unfinished. There was tons of glitches in the final games. They had that one it was some game show TV. It was some, I think it was Smash TV or something, that game. And you can't even beat the game because there's a fucking bug. There was tons of games like that back then, and you would be spending when you account for inflation, probably $80 for a game that doesn't even have save functionality, and it's so shit. And then today, the the amount of stuff you're actually getting in these games and how beautiful they look, it's really gone pretty far. Geez, people
Oh
only
yeah.
they have nostalgia, and they have those nostalgia goggles. They forget how shitty games were back then.
Yeah, I was saying the exact same thing too. Was when I was, I saw people criticizing like the graphics of Halo Infinite, and I remember when I watched it with you, Alex, like literally a couple days ago. I was taken aback how it didn't look that great. At the same time, like I'm not giving them an excuse or anything, I mean, just explain how things have changed. But at the same time, that game has in this state, in that state alone, which is not complete, a million times more than what you got. What 7, 10 years ago, whatever. I mean,
Oh,
it's
dude.
come a long, long way. The stand and that just shows you how the standards have changed. I mean, obviously you want it to be super realistic and cool and all that shit, but the standards are just so much higher now.
Dude, I remember playing Oblivion for the first time on the 360 on my HD TV. When I fucking first bought that, I was like, "Holy shit, this is super realistic!" How can you even tell? Looking back now, I'm like, all these motherfuckers look ugly as sin. Like you know,
Yeah.
back
Yeah.
that was fucking amazing. You know, we have, and I mean things have changed, but look at like look just how things have evolved so much, like just with technology. Like fuck, like Oblivion. Like I remember when that came out, like the whole thing was like, oh, people like NPCs have their own like lives outside of like when you're seeing them.
Yeah.
Have some levels of routines, and like that was just like mind-boggling. And now like people are like flipping out that like Cyberpunk they don't have similar things, but that also created tons of bugs too. And it's it's a fucking double.
Mhm. Well, do you remember, because it's so laughable, because it brings up something you can, it's kind of similar with NPCs. Do you remember when Call of Duty Ghosts had their presentation, their reveal presentation, and one of the things that they highlighted was like, when you swim, fish move out of your way. Do you remember that?
Like that was a thing back like at that
Well,
time.
the biggest joke with that too was there were games before it that would do that, and they acted like it was a big deal.
Well, I mean, it was like sort of that immersion thing, but yeah, like we've become so fucking.
We don't know
Not,
how. I don't want to sound like a boomer, but like kids these days don't know how good they have it.
well, yeah, but that's the thing. Like people are spending so much resources on these like graphics and these like stupid shit like that they forget the actual point. Like you're
Yep.
playing that one game, Deus Ex, and like they
Awful graphics. Awful graphics.
but for the time it was probably okay.
Yeah, but the gameplay is where it shines.
That's what people forget. Like, and that's one thing Nintendo has. Like, at least their
Mm-hmm.
games are fucking fun. Like, they're like it's like fun first. So you can have all this other stupid shit later. But like, that's a good philosophy because a
Yeah,
lot,
you gotta give them credit. They stick to gameplay as the number one priority.
and to a certain extent, that's all that really matters in the end. Like, you can have a beautiful
Yeah.
game. Like, there's tons of beautiful games out there. Like there's a ton of them, but that's not the end all be all of fucking gaming. You
To
know,
me, it's just what it's like it's a little bit more than the icing on the cake. Like it's kind of what fully emerges you and like really gets you. But everything else is like the first level of immersion and of the fun and of the enjoyment.
well,
Like I
it depends on the game. Like some games, yeah, it's great to have immersion, but others like fucking destroy all humans. It's
yeah,
just it's fun
true.
to have a sandbox and just cause mayhem. As
Or
a
look at Minecraft. Minecraft is the best example of it's all about gameplay is king. Graphics are not.
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm not the biggest Minecraft fan. I never really cared for Legos growing up, but like I see the appeal. You can learn like immersion gameplay is awesome. Like you have to do something and do something well with any sort of
Mm-hmm.
that you're creating. Come up with something new, something unique. It's so hard to find these days. You have your like 27th Assassin's Creed game. Like the first Assassin's Creed, I love that shit. Second one, I didn't like it at first, but coming back, it was like all right because at least they went more on the storyline. But the first one, man, I love that. Like you were an assassin and you weren't like a ninja. Because back before then, like the only real big assassin games, they're either like modern, like Solid Snake or or like Sphincter Cell,
Mm-hmm.
or you're playing as like a fucking ninja in like the Tenchu games, which I love, but like it was the first real like European assassin, and then they just became fucking boring because like
Yeah.
I don't know,
I
man.
mean,
Like
I still think, well, I see that's an area where the graphics can really help it because what I've always liked about the series, even for the ones I haven't played, like I've played Assassin's Creed 3 and I think I started 4, but I need to really dive into that one. Like, what I really love is that it's like, it is an assassin in these different historical settings, which is really cool because it's like you can immerse yourself in those places. But at the same time, I just have no need to buy any new Assassin's Creeds because it's like you said, it's like the same shit. It's like boring. It's beautiful, it's really cool, but it's like, yeah, I'll wait till it's free on Uplay and then get it.
yeah, dude, fucking Assassin's Creed, like they just kept rehashing the same shit. It feels like, and it's like a different thing, like that Abstergo stuff. Like, okay, cool, you're making this extended universe of like Ubisoft. Yeah, and that's the other thing that's kind of pissed me off too. It's like everything needs an extended universe now. Like fucking Ubisoft, you have the same shit in like
Yes.
Watch Dogs. It's like okay, we don't need fucking Marvel with like assassins and like woolly mammoths and Far Cry shit. don't need that. Why do we have that?
Yeah,
You know,
I
like
know. It's
fuck. I mean,
everything's got to become a franchise or a series,
yeah, like I think it would have been fine. They had like Assassin's Creed 1, 2, and I think it was one of the older ones, and like they finished it up with like Desmond, like his storyline. I For the most part, and now it's like they should just ended it there. I feel they should just ended his shit and got on with something else. And then like I remember fucking playing Black Flag for a few minutes. And one thing I did like about that, and that was with like the PS4. I used to have a PS Vita, and
The
you could like
pirate ships now are fun.
you could share your screen with like the PS Vita and play it with the fucking Vita.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, but like they stopped that because no one in America bought the Vita, which I fucking loved. I love that stuff, but they just didn't make any fucking games for it.
Yeah, that died quickly.
But it
I don't
was
even know anybody has a DS anymore.
well, it's like if you have the Switch, I see Sam over
That's your DS right there.
Yingling Sam.
Ah, yes, I do have a Yingling.
Love Yingling. They're perfect. In Pennsylvania, but no, fucking those games, man. Like I love that Vita, but like the Switch, I think is the ultimate evolution of that because it is a full-on game console, but you can
Yep.
take it with you and you can play it like on the television as well. Like that is probably the best one I've seen so far.
Yeah.
You know?
I do have to give Nintendo credit for that because it was kind of a surprise. Personally, I didn't expect them to have anything like I thought like okay they got to do something good because the Wii U was pretty much a flop. So I was like, well they got to do something good, but not expecting much. And then when I saw, I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Well, you think about it's really not that much different from the Wii. Like
It's
it is.
not. I was so surprised it sold so many.
But the thing is, you can take it with you. Like the Wii U, it had to be next to the fucking like you had to pay for those expensive ass controllers, but then you still couldn't like play it separately, to my knowledge. Like you had to have your iPad thing controller with you. But with the Switch, you bring the fucking Switch with you, and then it also like those little remotes don't function like the Wiimotes.
Yeah, yeah,
That's fucking brilliant. And they're the only ones like Nintendo are the only ones like really innovating with like their design. Like, Nintendo and Xbox, they're just doing the same sort of shit as each other. Sooner or later, one of them's going to beat out the other or it's just going to go to PC. But the one thing that you can't really do on the PC is the shit that Nintendo's doing. Like they're the one thing that's
yeah.
fucking doing something different, and I love that about them. Now their games, they're not the most brilliantly they don't have the most brilliant graphics, but they do what they can with what they have. Like, look at fucking Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Not 4K, but like it looks okay either way because it has that cell shaded stuff. It looks good. It's fucking timeless. And they're the only ones that still really support like split screen and like party games. Like,
Co-op.
yeah, when was the last? Like, I think the last Halo game didn't even have split screen co op.
Jesus Christ.
Like what happened with that, man? I remember when that used to be the thing. Like you played like Halo and
Yeah.
shit together. You played like Call of Duty together.
Yep.
Before even like Xbox Live was a thing, you used to play that shit. You had like LAN parties or just like split screen system link. And now it's all fucking because they want you to go buy multiple copies of the game. That's why they're fucking greedy.
Yep. Greed ruins everything.
Yeah, it fucking does, man. Oh,
That's the one thing I have been surprised. It was like,
Are
and I
are
understand
you
that.
guys still live by chance?
Yep. We'll be wrapping it up soon, actually, because it's getting late, and I'm actually gonna do some Battlefront, but I'll still be on voice chat. But
Yeah,
last thing
same
I'll
here.
say is, what was that?
Yeah, same here. I'm not going anywhere, but
I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying right here, holding my ground. As they say in the movies. But what was I thinking of? Oh yeah, that's the one thing I'm surprised has never happened is Sony or Xbox taking one of each other out. Because like now the differences are small, and I feel like it's gonna come to a point where there's gonna be a clear winner, and one is just gonna call it quits eventually. But maybe not. I don't know.
Well, what Xbox could do is, they have basically the PC market cornered. If you think about it, because what operating system is 99% of gaming done on?
It's Windows.
Yeah, and you can already
Yeah.
play like a lot of their exclusives like Forza and Halo on fucking Windows. So like they
And
could
the
do
new
that.
Halo is going to be on Windows too. Like on launch, I think on launch day. It's not like it's going to come like the Master Chief Collection like 20 years later. So they are fully focused. They know the PC market is their market.
Oh yeah, like they could dip out, but I don't know if they will. Like Sony, like there's just not as many like really compelling exclusives. Like there's a few like, oh, you can get the fucking Super Spider-Man game Miles Morales on. I think it was a PlayStation.
Yeah. Yeah, that's their one exclusive. And frankly, it looks like it's a good game, but I don't care. I
Well, they
feel like
had
a waste of time.
a Demon Souls remake, but like that game originally came out for the PS3, and it's just a fucking remake.
Yeah.
You know, in Xbox, it's not really exclusive. You can just play it all on the fucking computer, anyways. Like, I think in the next generation or two, you're gonna see, them start to. There's gonna be one winner within, I think, 2 generations at most, and then you're just gonna have them and Nintendo. And I think that Nintendo is different enough
Yeah.
to
Oh, they'll stay competitive. Absolutely.
because
They
they're
have
they
a unique feature. That's always what drives, your competition.
yeah, like I think Xbox and PlayStation try to compete with them once with the fucking like not like what was that?
Yeah, with when they were trying to do the Wii thing, like Xbox had the freaking thing that would spy on you all the time, and Sony had those
Yeah,
colored balls. I don't even remember what they're called. That's how they failed.
the dildo thing with the PlayStation 9.
That's what it looked like.
PlayStation Move. I had one of those things.
Yeah, that's what it was. The Move.
Yeah, like the Connect and the Move. That's what it was.
Connect, yeah. I remember Xbox got just slaughtered because of the always on internet and the fact that Xbox Connect was always watching you
Well, that
just
was
was
the new
so
one. That's what
bad.
they were saying. I don't think the old one did that, but the new one they were originally going to require that.
Yeah, they were going to, and I don't even remember if they said it, they're like unveiled, but like, yeah, I remember that got so much shit.
Yeah, but the fucking Wii, they still did their thing, and they had the most stupidest fucking name for it. Like it sounds like a cock. It looks like a fucking dildo and a butt plug. Fucking controllers. Like it's the most like nerdy gay shit, but they still were like the best selling console.
No, they went up there with something stupider.
I
Wii U.
I remember that I remember that people like kept cracking their TV screens.
Well, they
From-
put a
from-
yeah, I remember that too, because then they put a wrist thing on when I got mine.
Yeah, but even so, people kept like accidentally throwing the Wii U controllers, which I predicted that was going to happen.
The Wii, not the Wii U. The Wii U was the one with the fucking tablet that sucked ass.
Pseudo tablet.
Yeah, but
I
like,
remember when that was announced, and I thought, "Oh, that's interesting." It totally failed.
I actually kind of liked it more than the actual Wii. 'Cause I hated the Wii outside of like Wii Sports because like they kept forcing like the greatest game was the fucking Wii Sports and like
Oh, so Wii Sports Resort. Oh my god, that was the shit. I played so much of that. It never got old.
but every other game I didn't fucking like for it. Like I regret like one of the biggest regrets of my life was like not because I had Twilight Princess pre-ordered for the GameCube. I switched it over to the fucking Wii version. That was because I was like,
Well, you
oh,
could use a GameCube controller on the Wii.
well, yeah, but not for that game.
Really?
Yeah, they want at least not to my knowledge. They want you to go and play it with the fucking Wiimote, and it was fucking stupid.
That's some bullshit. I mean, the Wii also had like you could buy that like pseudo controller thing that was like a traditional controller but a little wonkier looking,
It was like a
specifically for the Wii.
Nintendo fucking controller, and it was good if you had the like. And it only really let you do that with like a handful of games. Most of them were like the DL, like the old Nintendo games you could emulate on there. But like, the only real game I liked on there was like Brawl, which is the worst Super Smash Brothers game ever released, but it was still kind of cool because you got a lot more characters. But it
Well,
just
I
kind of
think
sucks.
Nintendo thought
Like
that
for
the motion controls was the future, but kind of it's like it's like yeah, but not for everything, you know? Because I remember I had GoldenEye, the remake of GoldenEye on the Wii, and playing that with just the controllers as is was like freaking just I don't know how you could play that game because like like to aim you'd point at the screen. But what I got was what they called the Wii Zapper.
oh yeah,
They always cuck the name. It's not the Wii Gun, it's the Wii Zapper. But it's
they had the crossbow game with Legend of Zelda in
yep,
there.
yep, I played that. Yep. Which is pretty cool because it had like the Twilight Princess graphics, but like with like a you know crossbow thing, which it was fun for what it was. But you know, you put in that, and then it felt like, okay, this is like laser tag, kind of like, but more accurate, of course. And it was really cool. I actually liked it because it kind of gave you the precision of like a mouse for a console. But you had to have that, or else I don't know how you'd play that game and not feel weird, and it would just not work. I think you could use a regular controller on that, but I'm not sure. But that was how I played that, and I love that game. I played a lot of that. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's the thing with that console though. It's like they forced you to use the motion controls with so many games, and
That
that was
was the problem, yep.
like if they would have just let developers do what the fuck they wanted, I think it would have like because they did have some good games, like games that were meant to have it, like Wii Sports. They were great. You know,
Yeah, they're awesome, like, all-time classics.
but they weren't like hardcore games. It was like for the
Yep.
casual audience, which they did very well. But then, for everything else, it fucking sucked. And if you had the option to buy it on another console for a regular game, you better fucking do that, or else you're gonna have a hard time because most games did not do that. But what they should have done is made like a fucking Star Wars game for that, like where you
Yes.
as a fucking Jedi with a lightsaber. Like that would have been so fucking amazing, especially with the advanced, like the Wii Motion Plus or whatever. That would
I
have been
think they did eventually yeah, I remember the Motion Plus too. That was the one thing too that was kinda like I don't know why that I would think with Nintendo, they wouldn't let greed get the best of them, but, like, I don't know why the Motion Plus shit wasn't a thing on launch. I don't know if the technology wasn't there or what.
back then to do that.
What was that?
I don't think they had the tech to do that back then, like when they first launched. Like that
Yeah.
cutting edge.
Yeah, I think so, and what was nice though is, like, it was just like a clip-on, to your remote, which made it longer, but I think I do have one that had it built in, but, I mean, that yeah, because I remember the sword play in the Wii Sports Resort, I forget which one that was called, where you would knock the guy off the platform, was, like, the coolest thing ever. Like, it was the closest thing to, like, VR, what we have now, you know? And it was really cool, but I think Nintendo thinks that they're a company that's only for the casual people, and I don't think I know it'd be interesting to see how it work out because I know the GameCube kind of was closer to it, but how they would work out if they have their casual stuff that people love, but it's like the Switch where you have your motion controls, but you can make it a regular controller and play your hardcore games and your Call of Duty. I feel like they're still scared to like bridge that gap and have both those audience. I don't know if it's a marketing thing, if they think they should only tailor to one market, or if they think if they tailor the two, they're gonna piss off both audiences.
I think
I don't know.
in the field, like they're not gonna be able to compete with the Xbox. They're not gonna be able to compete with the PlayStation, but they can compete for more. But even then, like fucking Super Smash Brothers, like Ultimate's not casual. Like there's so much shit with that, and that's why I think they went back to their roots. Like they do have a little bit of that now. Like you can play.
You can play that on GameCube controller, right?
Yeah, you can use the GameCube controller. You can use they have these new ones, and it's like custom. If you want to go and buy like a custom fucking brawl, like or not Super Smash Brothers like Ultimate controller, you can spend hundreds of dollars on this shit if you want like an MLG fucking Ultimate controller.
Yeah.
Like, but they allow that now, which I think is great. They're getting
Yeah, I think the Switch was like, because like I that I can do on the Switch, right?
yeah, that's Ultimate.
Yeah.
That's the best one. You can play every single character from every other Super Smash Bros. Game, plus a shit ton more. Plus, they do have
See, the
DLC.
Switch seems like what the Wii U should have been, you know?
Yeah, but they fucked. Yeah, I think they learned their lesson from that. Because like the
Yeah.
Switch or the Wii U, it's like because I think you could also hook up the Wii controllers to it. Like it was backwards compatible. I think all the way up, maybe even back to the GameCube bound up, at least with the Wii. I think. And their Super Smash Bros. Game is pretty decent too. Like that was the whole reason he bought the fucking Switch was for that Super Smash Bros. Game. I love that series.
Mm.
That's the only
It's amazing too that I'm trying to think. And do you know anyone that had the Wii U? I don't know a single person that did.
and I beat the Wind like I actually I beat the Wind Waker re-release. I actually enjoyed that.
But they released on Switch.
Don't know about the Switch, but they had for the Wii U, like the Wind
Oh,
Waker, whatever, the HD remake, which was actually they fixed a lot of the issues with Wind Waker. Like I did beat the Wind Waker beforehand, but it was like they had Master Quest version, which was like you couldn't find your heart containers outside of like I don't think you could find them at all, like unless you bought it from a store. So it made it like actually difficult because that was probably one of the most easiest like Zelda games out there. For like the most casual Legend of Zelda game,
mhm.
they made it like actually tough.
Yeah. Well, here's the last thing I'll ask before we close the stream here and then go shoot the shit in Star Wars. What's next for Nintendo? Like, what do they do next after the Switch, or do they just keep the Switch for a long ass time?
Try make like a Switch. I think they're already making a Switch Pro. Like the Switch did fucking amazing, especially now. Like people love that. Kids love the Switch. Like my fucking girlfriend, she put like thousands of hours on that fucking one game that Animal Crossing. Like that became a phenomenon during the pandemic that we're currently in.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm googling Switch Pro, and um, yeah, it sounds like it's something that's like being rumored that's in the works, but it looks like it. See, I don't know if I like this because what I like about that Switch is like you can have the motion controls. It looks like it looks like the regular Switch with the screen, but like all the controls are stuck on it. You
Well,
can't remove them.
they have the one that has. They have like the cheapo Switch that has it with the controls stuck on it.
Right, yeah, I remember that.
My girlfriend is one of those, and like I have my regular one, which has. They might
You
have like
too?
yeah, they're two different ones. Yeah, she has one. I mean, she made money off that fucking game, that Animal Crossing.
Wait, she made money on Animal Cross?
Oh yeah, she made like $800. Like she paid for it.
Wait, she made $800 from playing Animal Cross?
Oh yeah, people spend money on like credit cards and like you give them like there's a whole fucking account. Like you can buy services in that game, like player to player.
That's interesting.
I think Nintendo started cracking down on it, so not as much recently. But back when it came out, she made some money off of it. She paid off her Switch with Super, or not Super Smash, fucking the Animal Crossing.
Yeah. Yeah, rumors are saying that the Switch Pro will be 4K compatible and a bunch of other things like yeah. Oh, it could be packed with a mini LED display. That's interesting. That's like the next best, TV or picture or screen. It's gonna replace LEDs and maybe OLEDs. That's
Yeah,
the one thing I wish Nintendo wasn't so behind on is their fucking like graphics compatibility. Like, yeah, I get it. They don't want to make them like super realistic looking games. That's cool because it looks different than the other stuff. But just make it 4K.
you know
Make it 120 FPS or whatever the standard is on the PlayStation, the Xbox. Like that sort of stuff to me is so basic.
you don't
I don't
need
get
it for their games. Like shit, that's the thing. You don't really fucking need it to be super
Yeah, but
tech.
if you have a 4K TV, man, it will look unbelievable. It will be gorgeous.
But they're mostly cartoon games anyways. Like like look at Breath of the Wild. Like that, I don't know what the fuck it's in. Maybe it's like 720p, but it still looks fucking beautiful.
No, it's gotta be 1080. There's no way it's 720. That's gotta be 1080.
What is the current setting for the Switch?
Uh, it's gotta be 1080. I don't see how you'd really just come out 80. That'd be fucking insane. It is 1080. Yep, 1080. That's what I thought.
Is it 1080? Is
When
that
it's
like
docked.
when it's not plugged in?
When it's docked, it's 1080, but the screen on the actual thing is 720. But that's a small screen. Even then, a 6.2-inch display should be 1080. Like my phone is 1080, but it doesn't make that much of a difference on this small screen.
Yeah,
but,
my phone is 1080. Well, you and I have the same.
We have the 12, yeah.
Well, I have the 12 Pro.
Yeah, I think I think the screen resolution's the same on the 12 and 12 Pro because I just have the 12.
But
Yeah,
if you're playing it outside of the television, like it's still like people like you can play it in your handheld version. Like a lot of times, like
Oh yeah, well that's the whole point of the Switch.
yeah, so you can be watching it 720 for the most part, unless you're like having it plugged in the TV.
Dude, I'd have that shit plugged into the TV, that game, because that game does look beautiful.
It does. You really need it though. Like it's beautiful the way it is, man.
Could be more beautiful.
Cell shaded.
Because like we were just last night, I did something I've never done before. I know I'm sound like a boomer, but my dad was catching up on The Mandalorian, so he was watching the first season. I sat there and watched the entire first season without any breaks, just right through it. I've never binge watched an entire season of a show before. I just don't like watching things that way. I like spacing it out and enjoying it piece by piece. But that's just me. I know it's not how most people are, but wanted that show feel really interesting seeing it a second time, all all of season one just kind of in one shot. It's a very interesting experience, but because it feels very cohesive and you can see the cohesiveness throughout, but it was in 4K, and let me tell you, when because it automatically picks the resolution, which I hate how you can't like manually pick the resolution, but you could tell when it was down in 1080 and when it went to 4K. It is like I cannot unsee 4K versus 1080. I know when it's 4K and I know when it's 1080. And I'm not standing like really close and I'm not super far away. I'm like about 12 feet, I'd say, away from it, maybe 10 feet. You can tell a fucking difference. And like when I've seen animated stuff, you can tell the difference. There's like an extra level of detail that you didn't even know was there. That's the best way I can describe the difference. Like if you see Tom Cruise like crawling on a can on like a rock face. Normally, like yeah, you'd see the rock has some texture, but you'd see way more texture, and you could. I noticed in the skin, you see a lot more of like the details in somebody's skin. So that's my 4K explanation.
Yeah.
But anything else you guys want to shoot the shit about before we close the stream and bullshit offline?
Not really.
I think I'm good.
Happy New Year, everyone. So,
Happy New
well,
Year.
hopefully.
Yeah, I hope everybody has a happy new year because we all know how 2020 was.
So, and thank you to everyone who donated to my stream in the first half of the show. Fat Cake Boy, Dawson, Kevin dropping the big bucks. Kevin, really appreciate that. And your ammo fund will go to great use. So
Nice.
but
Yeah, that's
folks,
good of people to do that because that's how you really support people now is giving them money.
Mm-hmm.
And likes and retweets and all that's great, but nothing keeps the lights on but monies.
Well, and please subscribe to Versa News Media as well. In fact, let me link to their stuff in the chat.
Oh, thanks, man. Everybody should subscribe to Sam too, and subscribe to Jeff on Twitch so you can catch us doing another discussion there.
Who likes Jeff? He's kind of a nerd.
Hey, nerds rule the world. Other than the elites and the globalists.
Just kidding. I love Jeff.
Yeah, he seems cool. So
Not in the way he thinks I love him. That's all another story.
All right. Yeah, oh, more story time for next time then. We'll see you guys later. Bye. Oh, and thank you, Sam, for being on with us for another year.
Oh, no problem.
I remember you were on a lot of our code streams.
Very much.
No problem. Happy to have you guys as, I wouldn't really say co-host, but, co-streamers, I guess.
Collaborators.
Yeah, collaborators.
Co-collaborators. Co-conspirators.
Yes.
We'll see you guys later. Wash your hands.
All right, folks.
Fuckers.
God bless and God bless. Good night. God save this great nation. God, freedom, Uxie in that order, and I'll see you on the next episode of the Whitfield Report. God bless.
Every time I hear good night, I think of good night, all right.